is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another episode of Live Trading with Benzinga. I've got my man Ryan Faloona hanging out backstage. We've got Andy Cole will be joining us again from Mighty Soldiers. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll that intro. That S&P 500 is trading up today pre-market for the first day in a few days, so that's good to see. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll that intro. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at some of the biggest pre-market movers, gainers, and losers of the day.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. I mean, it's Vegas lore, that phrase.
All righty, Ryan, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, man. How are you, AB?
I am good. Good to see you. Good to be hanging out. I like this. I like kind of getting on the stream a little bit earlier in the day. It gets me, it gets me a reason to be up and active early.
I like it too, man. Laughing in the morning is a great way to start your day, and you always provide laughter for everybody. So, Aaron, we're glad to have you, my man. You're doing a great job.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think it was that Jimmy V who said that if you can laugh in a day, if you can cry in a day, you can smile in a day. I think that's what it was. Then
It's a full day.
Then you've had a full day. So we're knocking some things out in the morning. Hopefully, none of our trades lead us to crying, but
Unless they're tears of joy.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so. So Ryan, you want me to pop up your screen? See what we've been looking at this morning?
Yeah, let's go ahead and start with the SPY. We talk about this every day, and we might as well update here. So remember, yesterday I was saying that we were holding the 410 level, and that 410 level was going to be really important for a break to the downside. Well, we got that yesterday with the action, and not only did we actually break that level, but we closed beneath that level, which is exactly what you want to see for reversing a trend or reversing a previous support or previous resistance. Now, the interesting thing here is we actually traded down to this 405.86. Let's just call it 406 just to be even. We traded down to that. We bounced a little bit. I'm really curious to see how we actually trade today. Now, we did have some good news yesterday, right? We had Microsoft report earnings. They reported really good earnings. This is actually a break into a new area here. Not quite the floating island that I'd like to see, but definitely a break out of this consolidation zone. So Microsoft reporting very good earnings. Google also reporting good earnings. They were up yesterday. Let's see where we're at now in the pre-market. Let's go ahead and type in Google here. Take a look at the chart here. You can actually see Google is just about even. It's actually up minorly, but we gave all those gains back. So question here on Google is, are we going to bounce? And are we going to continue going higher? Or are we going to break down? That's going to tell us a lot about tech. Now, the other thing that's going on here with Microsoft, in addition to the good earnings, we also got news this morning that the deal between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard is being held up by Britain. The regulatory agency there, I think it's the CMA, rejected this deal. Both companies said that they're going to appeal. The deal with the appeal process is that you appeal to the same people that make the decision. And I actually just learned on CNBC this morning that those are almost never overturned. So the likelihood of this actually being overturned, not good. Of course, ATVI experiencing the brunt of this decision here, down 10% about in the pre-market. We're actually down a little bit lower here. So this is, we'll have to see how this plays out. To me, I actually like Activision. I would say that this might be a decent spot to actually swing it, but I'm not confident that anything is going to change. I don't yet know. I really want to see how this actually trades when the market opens, when we get some volume in there. But that's what's going on here. The other thing that's worth mentioning from this morning is we had Boeing reports. So do we have Ryan Christopher out there? Let me know if you're out there. You're always asking about Boeing. Boeing here missed on EPS, beat on revenue, but the reason they're actually trading higher today is the guide, right? So they guided for 737 MAX and then also for revenue, and they reaffirmed that guidance. So Boeing trading higher here. Really, we're still in the same story with Boeing. We really need a breakout above 120 for this to get going. We're still in this sideways range here. We've been trapped in this since what? Early January of this year. We really need to move above 220, excuse me, in order for this to get going. So we'll see if we end up getting that today. Currently at 208. This is another one. I really want to see how this trades when the market actually opens. Now, that takes care of some of the bigger cap stocks. It's worth mentioning that after the bell today, we're going to have some pretty big tech earnings again. We're going to have Meta, Roku, and Teladoc report after the bell today. So that will be interesting. Watching those stocks and how they trade throughout the day is also going to be interesting. Let's take a really quick look at Meta before we dive into the movers list and some of the smaller caps that are moving here today. You can see, first of all, Meta is trading higher on the backs of the tech earnings from yesterday. And again, if you take a look at the daily chart here, we've kind of run up into earnings. So I think if this earnings is bad, we actually have some pretty good area to fall here. I actually wouldn't be surprised if 190 prints happen if the earnings are poor. But I don't really have an edge on Meta. This is not a stock that I like. It's not a company that I like, and it's not a product that I use. So take that with a grain of salt. Let's try and uncover some more information as we watch how this trades here today. Now, let's get over to the movers tool and talk about a couple of things. First thing that I want to mention just kind of generally is we're having let me get this. Okay. We have a run in Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin showing resilience. Before we get into this, I guess maybe the other thing that we should talk about is going to be FRC. FRC broke down yesterday, down 50% yesterday. We're weaker again here today. To me, this just shows that the issues in banking not completely over. And for me, FRC is a no touch. The valuation that they gave it recently, clearly that's not in line with the rest of the market. FRC really struggling here. I would actually expect some more downside here. Maybe we get a bounce to start the market, but news here is bad in FRC. Now, the other thing that we had last night was PacWest earnings, right? So this is another regional bank not connected to FRC. They reported earnings and are trading higher. So it looks like some of the worries are kind of isolated to individual banks. I have not done well with the bank trade. I'm going to continue to not trade banks until I have more familiarity with it. I know a lot of people have been trading KRE, trying to catch KRE on a bounce as some of these other banks are reporting good earnings. But again, to me, this is kind of a crapshoot. I think that there are better, easier setups to trade than some of the banks. But good to see PacW report good earnings, trade up, and actually hold it as opposed to breaking down. Hopefully, we don't get a breakdown when the market actually opens. Okay, now for real, I'm ready for the movers tool. With some of the stuff going on with the banks, we're actually seeing another spike up here in Bitcoin this morning. Bitcoin actually has been strong, and we're seeing that reflected in some of the stocks that mirror Bitcoin. Of course, Mara and Riot are going to be some of those miners. You could also toss in Hut in there, BTBT, and then, of course, Coinbase, which often trades with the price of Bitcoin as well. So we're seeing some of those stocks move here today. I actually drew no new lines here today. I think I might have drawn this 10-30 line. But all of the other lines that are in here are existing levels. And as you can see, Mara's just kind of moving between those. So should be a potential technical trade here today. We'll see if that gives us the best opportunity. Now, looking into some of the other stocks here, the big one that we have here today is SAI. So SAI holders from yesterday really smiling here this morning. We're up 44%. One of the things that I was going to say when I first charted this morning is that I really think that we attack 4 right out of the gate. Well, guess what? We already did that here in the pre-market. So we broke through 4, went as high as 407, coming back to this 399 level. If SAI gets momentum out of the gate, I would say that 5 is possible. That would be a big run, but don't necessarily wait for that. Again, you're up 44%. One of the things that we saw here, or that we've seen recently, when you have those gains, make sure that you take them. If you're in this trade, make sure it does not go red on you. Do not give all of those gains back. Even if you like this and want to trade it more, you'll have another opportunity to rebuy it if that's the case. So SAI moving up here today. This should provide a pretty good trade. Let's see how it reacts when it opens here. VWAP currently at 375. So a pull to VWAP and a bounce back through 4 would be really great for a potential day trade here today. Next is going to be Hoth. We've actually traded this one a number of times in the past. We popped, got as high as about 3. We've really retraced this move back down to VWAP. Let's see if we build and cross through that VWAP here today. I don't necessarily have an edge on it. I just know that we've traded this stock before. It likes to move around, and it is fairly liquid. So this could also potentially be in play today. We already talked a little bit about PACW, and we covered some of the Bitcoin names. We also have Fisker, which is ticker FSR, up here today. We do have a catalyst. Fisker shares are trading higher after the company announced a Fisker Ocean SUV received European certification. The company intends to start deliveries to European customers on May 5, so that seems like they're moving along with their plan. Good news here today, that is trading up. Bitto, this actually one of the Bitcoin ETFs, this up with some of the other Bitcoin names. We already talked about Microsoft. This might be a nice play for some calls. We'll see if that ends up moving here. And then the other note here is on Coinbase. So again, this kind of plays into the Bitcoin theme. As always, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the movers tool, the scanner tool, which is based on relative volume, and we're going to try to uncover plays that way as well. Let's talk about CXAI, because Andy really hit a home run yesterday. If you recall, Andy was saying he loves nothing more than 100% gainer. Boy, we almost got there. Topped out at 1350 yesterday. Good news here today on CXAI is we are actually holding these gains. We have not broken down yet. 1366 going to be your high. Probably would adjust this to 1350 just for OCD purposes. But good news here, holding its gains. The one thing that we don't want to see is we really don't want to see a breakdown through 11. That could be gappy down to the 9 handle. So again, if you're going to play this here today with new positions, I think probably tight stops are going to be the way to go. Try to grab this near the bottom if it does in fact bottom. We've seen some of these plays continue. We'll see if we end up getting that here today. We are pretty much right by the VWAP. To me, volume is going to tell the story here on CXAI. There was another question in here about ENPH. Okay, let's talk about that. ENPH, solar name here, had earnings, really got shellacked, down 19% here, looking like it's going to take the next leg lower. I'll be honest, I don't have an edge on the solar names. We're just kind of reacting to what we see here. Looking at Enphase, we talked about this yesterday in the happy hour. A couple of people that follow some of the solar names think 150, 160, and 170 would be decent spots to add. So here we are at 178. We're actually pretty close to that. Not sure if it makes it all the way down there in 1 or 2 sessions, but if you're interested in this for the long term or a potential swing, 150, 160, 170 seem to be the levels there. Definitely having a weak morning here today on the backs of its Q1 earnings and weak Q2 guidance. So EMPH not starting off great. This stock does like to move around. The options are fairly liquid, so maybe we get a potential bounce play here today.
And so
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, out of everything that you've just ran us through, Ryan. So the Microsoft earnings, that's a big deal, and I think, it's interesting seeing how differently Microsoft and Google's the reaction is to both earnings, and I think I'm kind of kicking myself because I was looking at Microsoft calls before they reported earnings, thinking with this whole Chat GPT and AI thing, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing really did well after earnings. But Google and Microsoft both reported pretty decent quarters, and Microsoft is up still almost 7.5%, 8% pre-market, whereas Google, like you said, has basically come down to flat. And I wonder if Google's more the what we can expect from earnings season this year, is that even if a company reports pretty good earnings, unless they absolutely blow it out of the water, the reaction might not be that great, because we're still in this higher interest rate environment, so people might not be as excited about an earnings beat as they were in 2020 when interest rates were at 0. But I think you could make an argument that even more important for the overall market than Microsoft or Google yesterday was PacWest's earnings, because I think a lot of why the overall market traded down yesterday was because, like you said, we had these renewed fears about the banking crisis after FRC. And a lot of people thought, look at how PacWest traded yesterday. PacWest was down 8%. People thought that FRC's earnings were looking to how other regional banks were doing. And if the idea was, okay, FRC, is in such a bad position, and the next thing you know, PacWest says they're in a bad position, then maybe there is some actual contagion in the regional banking industry, and there's some fear in the overall financial sector. But because PacWest came out and basically said, hey, no, we're all good. Our deposits were fine. We're looking good. The stock went back up 15%. And I think that will do a lot for the overall market today in terms of squashing some of those fears regarding the banking system. And so I think you can make an argument that PacWest's earnings yesterday afternoon were the biggest, for the market.
Yeah, it would be tough for me to disagree with you. I mean, I think that people are looking into this. I think one of the things that stands out, first of all, PacWest is, after these earnings, up just about 5.5% from when it closed previous to yesterday's session, so before the movement in FRC. So we're still about 5.5% higher, still pretty good. I think one of the things that you're seeing here is that some of these are just kind of individual issues, right? The problems for FRC seem to be isolated to FRC, at least for right now. Now, you're talking about contagion. Again, I really don't think that the whole bank issue is over. I think that this could drag on for months. Some banks will be okay, others might not. And I think that if you take a look at some of the price action here yesterday, that kind of lends itself to what we're talking about, right? The first move here was up. It retraced almost the entire stick within the next couple of minutes and then went back to new highs. And the good news here is that we're actually holding that here today. So to your point, I definitely want to see how the market treats this stock when the market opens, when we get more volume flowing into this name. But so far, pretty good read here on PacWest.
Yeah, and I honestly don't know off the top of my head, why, how FRC was in such a bad. Silver Fox is saying FRC is a one-off. Deposits for uber wealthy at one institution should not impact this much. Way overblown. I mean, I know the Silicon Valley Bank. I talked to Tim Melvin about that. Interviewed some people. That made sense to me. Why Silicon Valley Bank was a one-off. I don't really know how First Republic Bank's gotten itself in this position where it's in such a worse position compared to other regional banks. But again, yeah, PacWest kind of coming in and saving the day for the regional banking sector yesterday when fear was basically back at where it was after the SVB crash. So definitely something to watch today, PacWest stock. Looking at Microsoft, looks like we're coming back, or looks like we're coming down a little bit into the open. So we'll see how Microsoft trades at the open. Okay, coming back a little bit here. I wouldn't be, like you said, I would not be surprised to see Microsoft run. I think a lot of people who don't already have exposure to Microsoft and the ChatGPT AI and everything right now might be getting some FOMO, and who knows, we could see Microsoft run today.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that we did actually take the next leg up on Microsoft. This was yesterday in the after hours. Now we're a little bit off the highs, but I think that has to do with the Activision news that we got here this morning. Again, Activision really taking the brunt of that, but that might have knocked Microsoft off its highs here. I'll be honest with you, Aaron. I do see a future for AI. I do kind of think it's more in its infancy right now. But if Microsoft can keep executing, maybe we can make even more highs here. The earnings print for Microsoft definitely better than Google. The market's telling you that. The numbers told you that. So we'll see where we end up here later today.
Yep. All right. Well, I see that our guest of honor again today, Mr. Andy from Mighty Soldiers, is ready to go. Camera on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pop Andy on, see how he's doing this beautiful Wednesday morning.
Well, guys,
Andy, good morning. How's it going?
Good morning, AV. Good morning, Ryan. I'm really happy to be here, but I see where market's going to open here in a few seconds. So, anyways, I get really pumped. It's like entering the arena for me. Like, you guys have seen the gifs that I posted with Goldberg going all crazy with the the pyrotechnics and all that. That's about how I feel when I wake up to this job.
Well, I'll tell you what, after your massive win on CXAI, I actually covered that before you were available here. You almost got that 100%. I know you took some pretty healthy gains, really great trade yesterday, but you almost got that 100%. Interestingly enough, this definitely on deck here again today. We'll see how this reacts out of the open here. My two biggest watches, 5 seconds, two biggest watches, CXAI and SAI. Let's see how we do. Good luck, folks. I do like that bell sound, I will say.
Man, yeah, the calls I was looking at for Microsoft yesterday, I would have cashed out on. They're up 800%, but I didn't pull the trigger. So
By the way,
sad.
Boeing first move up here, Ryan. So Boeing bouncing off that 208 level through 209.5, looking for 210s here on Boeing. We'll see if we can actually get up to the pre-market high. I have a pre-market high here of 210.80-ish. So in there for Boeing. Nice first move out of the gate. Let's check in on SAI.
Yeah, guys, I think I told you, Ryan, that SAI, I had taken profit the first day that it ran, and then I had added after it pulled back through the next couple days or next day. Anyways, I got into profit around 4 p.m. and woke up and closed that profit. Now we're running nicely in this one. I'm definitely keeping this on watch.
Okay, yeah, SAI, again, through the 4 level here, that's going to be the big one. Looks like we're kind of bopping around right here. Let's see if we can actually push through 4. Wouldn't be surprised to have this yank back to the VWAP. Again, VWAP here at 380, so that's that down right where we're at right now. Nice little pull as I was saying that. Let's see if we actually bounce and get some more buyers in here. Lots of volume trading hands, lots of shares trading hands here, so the volume looking good. They just brought a bid in under 393. That should drive it higher. Here's your 4 test. Let's see if we can actually pop above 4 here. Bang, right through and right up to the pre-market highs. Next spot here going to be 408. I got a high print of 408, now 409 as we continue to go higher here on SAI. Not going to be a stock that I'm going to chase, but again, for any of you that were trading this yesterday, nice first move here. They also brought in a bid there at 4. So we'll see if that ends up gets taken out. Yep, there we go. They took that to the downside and a nice big pull right back to VWAP here. Doing a good job holding VWAP. Let's see again if we can move through 4. Get multiple opportunities to book some of those gains here early this morning.
Hey, Ryan, are you looking at this that we gapped basically just near this resistance at 425? And when you see a gap like this, how do you feel? Do you feel less positive about your trade if you see that we've gapped up right near resistance like this?
Which stock are you referring to, Andy?
Oh, SAI.
Okay, well, so first of all, no, gaps generally going to be a really good thing, right? So we're seeing some, we saw a move up in the after hours yesterday. We saw it come back in, and then we saw it push up to those highs again. Here we are going to 4 again. Let's see if we can pop above. For me, what I really like to do is I don't want to trade these things as they're extended from their VWAP. So to answer your question, Andy, I don't mind the gap. I mean, frankly, if a stock that I hold from the day before is gapping up in the morning, that's really great. As far as new trades, I'm definitely trying to be as conservative as I can and get the best possible entry. So the entry that I can get near a support level, whether it's VWAP or some level identified from the chart, that's normally what I'm going through here. Again, SAI through 4 here. They brought in a bid under 399. It's having some trouble pushing away from the 4 so far, but it is early. Volume's still looking good here. Let's see if we set some new highs here. Bang, new highs again, 411. Nice little pull. So this is grinding higher here. Here we go, 412, 413. 414 and 415. Actually, there was a little bit of size there at 415. So this continuing to move here. Grats on any of you that took this. Now, the other thing here is that we did actually come back into the VWAP. So Andy, like I was just talking about, one of the things that I really look for in some of these stocks that gap is, do they come into some tradable support level? 420 now here, 424 on SAI. Big winner here on SAI for any of that. I know that there were a couple of people playing this from yesterday.
An important thing about yesterday, when you asked me what I was looking at, Ryan, as far as my indicators and everything, that's exactly what my primary focus was on CXAI. I had my nice yellow VWAP, and it was riding it perfectly.
Okay.
Let's figure
the same thing here on SAI today, Andy.
This one's rounded out nicely, dude. If this breaks, this could just be beautiful. Be a lot of fun.
Okay, next level I have here is going to be 432 on SAI. We got that from the pre-market highs, or excuse me, the after hours highs on April 19th. So about a week ago, we're approaching those highs. Worth noting that the last time that this popped, if we break above this, the next level here would be a 503. Now, I think Crow, you were talking about this one earlier. I can't remember what target you gave. I think you said you had 5 on deck. Let me see if I can find that.
It seems like everything that's happened nowadays has AI at the end of it. It's like
that's what I mean. That's what I mean about that theme here. Now SAI, is this actually an AI play? No, this is okay. So this guy got the wrong details up there. Let me there we go. Okay, 432 coming here on SAI. Let's see if we push above. There is a little bit of size there at 482, but nothing that can't be taken out here. Still looking pretty strong in terms of the actual volume here.
My first concern is that we pop an upper shadow and pull right back inside, and that's the problem with chasing, because it's very likely that will happen.
Exactly, and we've actually seen that here. So here is 432 and 433. See if we can actually move higher through here.
Can you guys hear that?
435. No, it sounds good. I don't hear anything abnormal anyway. Okay, next spot here. Now that we've taken this out, next spot here on SAI 503 if we can get there. 503 if we can get there. Let's take a look at some of these other plays while SAI pushing up here, going for that 550. I'll keep this on watch and I'll come back to it, but I definitely want to see if we're getting any other movement here off the scanner. Hoth, this looking like this is trying to take out 250. This might be along above 250 here. VWAP we had at 238, and it's kind of where we're at right now. So might get another push here on Hoth. SAI still strong here. Volume looking real good. PBLA penny play, that's right back at its VWAP. Okay, so we talked a little bit about PACW. First move here was down, but we're bouncing. So buyers still stepping in here and trying to take this higher. Let's see what the Bitcoin plays are doing. Okay, Bitcoin, Mara pulled right back to the VWAP. Riot did the same. Willing to bet some of the other names that are related to this did the same as well. Let's check out Coinbase. Coinbase pulled to the VWAP. Coinbase actually beneath the VWAP here. Snow, strong morning. Here's another tech name having a nice strong morning on good volume. This looks to be trading up in sympathy with Microsoft and Alphabet. Here's Fisker. Fisker also still moving higher here.
So Ryan, I noticed you were talking about FRC earlier. Yesterday, I had seen that it looked like we had found a temporary bottom in that thing later in the day. So I bought some and ended up closing it, I believe in the after hours. But anyways, I know most people are like hands off with something like that, but just like I said with the dish.
Good for you, Andy. I am definitely hands off with some of these banks again. It's just if it doesn't work, stay away from it. That's my motto, and bank trades have not worked for me. Crow asking about CNTG. CNTG really needs a volume push through this VWAP. We're actually really close to that VWAP. One of the other things I would take a look at here in terms of levels on CNTG are going to be some of these, right? So 2 definitely going to be a big one. And then yesterday's intraday high of 252. We'll see if CNTG can get going here. Support yesterday's intraday low after that pop matches pretty much, is this morning? Yeah, it matches pretty much the pre-market low here today. So this is what we don't want to lose. 143 is what we don't want to lose. Cross through the VWAP here at 170 is what we want. First target 2, second target 252. Any thoughts on Datadog? So interesting here, Carmen Gridco, who was that? Wellness Matters, excuse me. Datadog. So first of all, this again looks to be trading up in sympathy here. We do have the earnings in just over a week here on Datadog. I don't necessarily have an angle on some of these. I think a lot of these were probably overpriced. And we're in the phase right now of price discovery. Now, the good news here is that we look like we've got a pretty good quadruple bottom that Datadog is bouncing off of on the daily. So a good report here, maybe some good news in tech, and we keep trading up here. One of the other stocks I want to mention here is, because I know a lot of people follow it and trade it here, is going to be Tesla, right? Where we did break through that 160 yesterday. We're really kind of hovering around that level. We are beneath it. So interesting to see if this continues its sell-off. We're near the lows of the day, trying to bounce here, trying to get some support, but unable to do so just yet on Tesla. This one would be one to watch.
SAI looking really strong.
Sorry.
Just saying, SAI looking really strong, going back towards the highs. And yesterday, I had loaded up on some Roku calls, knowing that we were going into earnings, and I didn't want to wait for earnings to drop this evening and then be able to have to wait till tomorrow to close them. But just popping in the pre-market, or in the early market hours, that's what I was looking for, and took profit on that. And AMC just closed that and took some profit there as well.
Okay, nice overnight swings there. That looks pretty good. One of the other things, we actually discussed this in the happy hour too. Interesting note here. we had a gentleman that wanted to play one of the tech earnings last week. I can't remember what stock it was that he was playing, but in any case, he wanted to play it with options. And one of the things that Nick Shaheen, our resident option expert here, said that if you want to play the print, one of the things that you can do is actually play QQQ calls, because you can close those calls 15 minutes into the after-hour session. Whereas if you had the individual stock name, you'd have to wait for the next day. So we actually got a pop. The trader closed his calls, 33% gain in a matter of a couple of minutes. And then that stock actually dropped off. It's killing me. I can't remember what stock it was that he did that on, but basically trying to trade an earnings print using one of the ETFs that's still available to trade. SAI here, actually a big pull down to that 407 level. VWAP currently at 411. Looks like it's kind of trying to hold that here. Again, don't let the trade go red on you. If you had this from yesterday, if you had it from today, definitely defend yourself with the stops. SAI might be bouncing here from this 407 level. We really like to see that.
And that's the biggest thing I've learned in my trading round is predefining the risk and sticking to that.
Yeah,
I just posted this morning that any of us who are not sticking to our stops, it's a sign that we're not trusting our process.
Yeah, no, that you're absolutely right. And that's a battle that all of us traders have to go through, right? I mean, I have a plan. I don't always execute my plan. Sometimes my plan has stops that are too tight to the price range. That's what happened on Caterpillar. I ended up just getting shaken out of Caterpillar. My thesis was good, though. Crusade Trader saying Shaheen is on a cold streak right now with his picks. I'm pulling for him to turn it around. So totally understand that. The market's been really tough. I can say this. I've known Nick Shaheen for a number of years. I can confidently say that whatever picks it is, he's turning it around. The key thing to note, though, is that Nick Shaheen also offers other value other than just the picks. I know that that's something for people that can't or don't have the time to do as much research, kind of want to follow him into trades. Totally get it. But his live trading room is popping every day, whether his picks are down or not.
And that's the whole thing we're talking about with process there. It's not necessarily picks. It's the overall process and risk management.
Exactly, because here's the thing, like I was saying, no trader is going to win all the time. If you can manage your risk and stay in the trades that are working for you, and get out of the trades that are really hurting you, you're going to be okay, even if you take a couple of small losses. Paper cuts are no big deal, especially if you're hitting home runs.
I mean, that's the thing that I saw at first. You'd see these penny guys or whatever, and they'd post their big, huge rippers, or just like yesterday and the last time I was on, Ryan. You would see them posting these things, and you'd be really impressed by whatever you see. But overall in trading, I've learned that it's not even about those big rippers and big gainers and finding that next big hot stock. It's about consistently hitting what is working for you and can get those percentages, because percentage pays.
Yeah, absolutely. FRC I think is halted here. I see it in the halt tool. We got a open halt. Yeah. So we're in a halt here. This looks to me like this was an upside halt, right? It looks like we bounced on volume into a volatility halt, bounced off the 650 level. So FRC still down here, still really weak, but upside halt. So we'll see where this ends up opening. Excuse me, SAI trying to reclaim that VWAP and push higher here on SAI. Paul C says Jim Cramer offers picks too. Yeah, but those are super profitable, right? That inverse Cramer ETF Twitter account has just been absolutely raking over the past couple of months, as they pretty much just do the opposite of what Cramer says. And see, that's the thing. If someone is consistent in either direction, their picks, if you will, can be valuable. Now, as always, I don't recommend following somebody in. Like Andy was just saying, if you have a process that you can lean on, you'll have reasons for getting in and parameters for getting out, and that's just going to make the trading so much easier. If you're following someone else in, you might be inclined to say, well, what are you doing with your position? Are you holding through this downdraft? What's your target? Things like that. So again, coming up with your own process is always going to be the best thing for you. Nothing wrong with getting getting insights from other traders. Oh, Sid, I got a surprise for you, Sydney. I definitely. Okay, so all in Tidewater TDW. So you've been talking about Tidewater a lot. You've been very, very consistent in your support for this. Chart actually does look pretty good, especially if we could turn around. But I got a surprise for you. When I get a chance, when I run to the washroom, I'll go ahead and bring it back. I'll join you in your quest for getting Tidewater up. Crow saying that Kraken, whatever, CRKN, Crown Electronics, crazy candle, big move here off that VWAP. Wow, big volume here. I know you penny players are probably excited. I'm going to pass on this one completely, but a nice big move here on good volume on Kraken. That is a good candle. Good shout, Crow. Crowd here doing it again, man. Absolutely love it. The participation from you folks has really been tremendous. And if you guys are happy about Andy just generously giving us his time 2 days in a row here, smash that like up. Andy, I really appreciate the support. Can you want to talk a little bit about where people can find you? You got a great Twitter feed. I actually got a follow-up question on your Twitter feed when we're done, but let the people know where they can find you as well.
At Mighty Soldiers at Twitter. And guys, we are bringing a lot of amazing guests on the YouTube lately. And we would basically anybody providing value in the community. I just want to let people know what is available in the community. I don't necessarily. Okay, Ryan. One thing I've noticed, I get a lot of comments about tweets that I'll like that might be like politically right or left, and and people that I follow in the community. But I'm just supporting traders that I respect and love. I don't mind. I don't care what they're putting out there and how they say it. I look up to these people, and I think I don't know. I just want to separate the trading community and the traders and the value they provide from their personalities. I don't know.
I think you're spot on with that. I do the same thing, right? Learn to compartmentalize. You can get value from anyone. Having a conversation with people can provide value. It's up to you to look for it. If you shut those doors early because of this, that, or the other thing, you're not ever going to get value out of that. So I'm with you 100%. And the one thing I've noticed, by the way, SAI moving back towards those highs here, folks, maybe a 450 break here. Here we are, spot there, pop through SAI even higher. Got another one here today. Nice move here on SAI. Nice move on SAI. That's making some people smile, I sure hope.
I really love when we get something like this and we form a really nice big area of consolidation, like let's call it a bull flag or whatever you want to call it. But that really nice big candles, and then when we finally break those, they're usually the nicest looking charts at the end of the day.
Yep. And you know what else, Andy? Here you go. This is what you were talking about when we were talking about SI, you talked about it pushing through highs and then immediately getting pulled back. Well, that's exactly what we saw here. Now, the good news here, as far as like a longer term approach, and when I say longer term approach, I mean more than 30 seconds or a minute. We're looking at a minute candle chart here. But one of the things that you're seeing is that it's really not giving these up. Pullbacks are normal, right? The move up and the corrective move back down, followed by another move back up. This is what price does all the time. So having the plan here to be able to execute on these different points, really important. It's encouraging to see this not break down so quickly, even if we see a knife on a move through high. This is still giving us good opportunity here. VWAP also creeping up here on SAI now 417 SAI. CMND, this is Clear Mind Medicine. This tried to get back to its VWAP and was rejected. We'll see if that firms up a little bit here. Check in on some of those Bitcoin miners. Those bouncing off their VWAP, so good move. Bitcoin still holding higher here at 29,800. So a nice move through 30K would be really good for Bitcoin. And Tesla continuing lower here. Tesla still moving lower.
One thing that's helped me, I said this to you before, but to understand the ebbs and flows of the market and these plays when we're looking at them is Rob Smith and the Strat, and basically looking at this as a price discovery works in a series of broadening formations. And when I started to realize that, instead of thinking, oh, it's going up or going down, that this doesn't work like that, it just made my trading a lot easier.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I took from the Strat is and by the way, little preview here. We're actually going to have Strat OG on as a guest on Friday. Andy, you are, of course, welcome to join us both if you'd like. You've given so much of your time. I understand if you have to get back to your daily occurrence, but Strat OG should be here on Friday. We'll talk more about the Strat. For me, the big thing that the Strat did is it really distilled trading down to focusing just on price action. And you're just looking at a couple of things. As you mentioned, broadening formation is going to help you discover what price action actually is in terms of the back and forth and how to analyze it, but then also a very, very simple and pragmatic way of analyzing candles. And I think that's what I like the best. Rob's in a class of his own when it comes to finding plays and understanding the data. He does it so wicked fast. He looks at so much stuff. I'm starting to think he's a bit of an alien. He might have multiple sets of eyes. It's just the amount of stuff that he sees is really incredible. But that's what you get from someone that traded on the floor for a number of years. By the way, great comment here from Paul. I just kind of want to wrap up our previous discussion here. Paul C saying politics do not matter when it comes to money. And I really agree with this, right? Politics certainly play a role in what happens with the market and other companies. And that's not what we're saying here. But in terms of your own personal politics, do not let that stand in the way of being able to analyze and make money in the market. Again, by doing that, you're just kind of artificially putting a barrier up yourself. And to Andy, to your point about people on FinTwit that are from both sides of the aisle, if they provide content that helps you become a better person or trader, that's still valuable, whether they disagree with you or agree with you. It's much less important. I would agree with Paul here. Let's focus on making money. Let's not worry about individuals' politics.
And not to mention, a legend is a legend. If you're talking about a trading legend, somebody who's been through some of the most amazing parts of history in trading in general, and I just think that as a trader, most of us would probably want to just look past any bias that we come to the table with.
Yeah, I mean, being able to get rid of my own bias is paramount, right? There are often times where I have a thought on a particular stock or sector or theme, and I feel really strongly about it, and we get more data that tells me that my thesis was wrong. Got to be able to accept being wrong in this business, or you will be humbled quickly. By the way, SAI, really good trading action here. I know we really haven't pushed through that high, but we are consolidating here. And again, the thing that I like to see here is we're actually consolidating in a fairly tight range and not giving up these gains. We will occasionally get these volume pushes. Here we go again, butting up to this 450, a little bit of size there again. Looks like they refilled it, and they took it. They took it in one block there. So big move here through 450. Let's see if we can attack that 470 high. SAI giving us a day, folks. Giving us a day. Silver Fox Trading talking about Meta. We'll check back in on SAI here shortly. Let's take a look at Meta. Man, look at this. All right. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Meta, this is a great trading opportunity. Now, I know I said that I don't like this stock. I'm not going to trade this stock no matter or despite that. Nice little pullback towards VWAP here. That took us to what, 209, currently at 213 here on Meta. So it looks like some optimism ahead of the print later tonight.
How much do you weigh in what the overall market's doing when you look at something like Meta?
Great question. When I come to the bigger cap stocks, Andy, I tend to think about what the broader market is doing a little bit more in terms of my play. In other words, if the Qs are having a really strong day, I'm probably going to have a better chance of success trading in some of the bigger cap names. For example, if the Qs were up and really strong, stocks like Apple, AMD, Microsoft, maybe even Tesla, I would think that you'd have that sympathy kind of rolling with your trade. But when it comes to some of the small caps that are not necessarily related to some of these indexes, I actually prefer down days. And when I say down days, I don't mean days where it looks like the world's falling apart and the Dow's, limit breaker down. That's not what I'm talking about. When we get a little bit of a drift down, that really helps find relative strength. One of the things that I was saying yesterday is I thought today's market was going to be weak based on some of those earnings. Now we're up, not much. Looking at here, SPY's up what, 0.2%. We're pretty much near flat. Dow's up 37 points, right? We're pretty much near flat. So still plenty of time for this market to soften. But when the market is soft, with some of these small cap names, sometimes it's actually very easy to spot relative strength because you have one particular stock or a basket of stocks that share a common theme that are moving against the actual market. And that can actually make for better trading opportunities as well.
Right after we ended here yesterday, we broke that 410 level briefly, and then we come and reclaimed it like we were talking about. And after a move like that yesterday, I'm a little more leery of long positions in anything that's going to trade in sympathy with the market just yet.
Okay, fair enough. FRC opened and then halted to the downside. FRC. Let's check in on Microsoft. Let's see how we're doing here. So Microsoft holding its gains, not really giving everything back up, but is drifting lower. We are off the highs here on Microsoft. Might as well check in Google while we're doing this as well. Google pretty much back to right where it was before it reported. It was actually lower here a little bit, but moving back through that closing price from yesterday. Google pretty much giving up its gains from its earnings.
Google didn't look really strong even when it did finally pop last night. Microsoft, though.
No, and I think that it probably, had some of its strength in sympathy with Microsoft, like we were just talking about. Matt saying ENPH looks good for a short. So let's take a look here at ENPH, down 25%. Wow, even more weakness here. Matt, at some point, this stock is going to bounce. And just in case you weren't here this morning, some of the guys in Happy Hour that follow this stock, one of them had levels 150, 160, 170. Now we're through 170 here. So if he's adding at those levels, at all three of those levels, his first add already done here, coming into that 160 handle, I would expect to bounce at 160. And if somehow we break through that, I would imagine that 150 would also provide it a bounce. So I think the short was probably better, assuming you didn't actually short the print. I think the short was probably better right out of the gate here. Because I do expect the stock to bounce, but man, it sure looks weak here today, down 26%. EMPH, Enphase Energy. Good morning, Voodoo. Great to see you again. Voodoo, by the way, next week I'm actually traveling to Detroit for a couple of meetings, and then I'm staying over the weekend to play some golf. So playing two of the better public courses in Detroit, Shepherd's Oaks, I think. I can't remember the other one, but let me know if you've heard of that one. Will's asking the same on FSLR. So let's talk about that. First Solar here, down 5%, got to be in sympathy with Enphase. The one thing that I will say here is unless you have a read on this or any type of, angle on FSLR, I would be nervous about holding this through the print based on what we just saw from Enphase. Now, if we get through that print and FSR does a Pac West where it shows more strength as opposed to one of its peers, maybe comparing it to the bank sector is not the best idea. But FSLR, also looking at the chart here, we're at a pretty important point here, right? We give up this 196 area. I think we probably trade back down to 180 handle.
And it looks like the market's tempted to go back to the lows here, down to about, I'm looking at ES 4089.
Actually, it looks like the market here wants to roll over, kind of drifting back down towards those lows here. Real quick, Voodoo, I'm actually staying with a coworker. Had a coworker that recently moved up there, has a great guest room ready for me. I'm super stoked. Super stoked. Let me see if I can get you the name of those other courses that I'm going to. The Orchards and Shepherd's Hollow are the two Detroit courses. Apparently, they're really, really good. And apparently, the Orchards is a feeder course for the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So going to be some pretty hard courses.
Guys, if you guys don't know, the first time I went to Benzinga, they were having a meetup up there. And when we showed up, I mean, I didn't expect to have pizza and beer. I mean, but the place is amazing, dude.
So, that's met with mixed emotions for me, Andy. I was absolutely devastated that I could not arrange travel accommodations for when you and Alyssa were actually showing up to the office. I was devastated by that. We'll correct that, though. I'll tell a funny little story. When I was first hired, I was reading through the manual, and there's only 2 company meetings a week. There's one that we have that at the beginning of the week to kind of outline the week ahead. And then there's a Friday session. I can't remember what they called it, where they basically had beer. They had a keg in the office. So really, really cool stuff. I'll say every time I go to the office, I learn something new and I get something else done that wasn't on my punch list. It is an incredible spot for idea sharing and moving things forward. It's fun every time I go.
Yeah, so I don't cry over missed trades, but missed opportunities maybe a little bit. When I was there, like you said with Alyssa, Jason Raznick, he had interviewed me and he said, come back, come down, trade live in the office if you want. And that's one thing. At that time, I was kind of having a reoccurrence of my pain from the Army and everything pretty bad. Mm-hmm. So was not able to come back down at that point. But man, I really kicked myself. That would have been a nice.
The blind trader says, dang, beer and trading, sign me up. Yeah, that's how that works. Smash up that like for Andy, folks. Okay, interesting thing here, looking at the relative volume scanner. I'm not necessarily seeing any new plays. Let's check in on CXAI from yesterday. We talked about it early, haven't seen it since. Wow, minus 25%. Really kind of gave up those gains here. Let's not take this completely off the watch list. There might still be a spot where this stock bounces from, and that's one of the things that we're going to be looking for. Ooh, okay, Voodoo. Yeah, here, shoot me an email. Shoot me an email and we'll see if we can do that. Would love to meet you. SAI still trading sideways here. Really encouraged to see this trading action, folks. We're kind of just moving along, really not breaking down, not knifing through the VWAP, not going directly to support levels, really doing a lot of good stuff here on SAI. By the way, overall market here, still kind of trading in that range, really hasn't picked a direction. The Qs, the NASDAQ, stronger than the Dow, stronger than the SPY. But again, it's early. We'll see if we turn around here. Around at some other stuff here. VIX holding well in the 1879. VIX got up almost as high as 20 yesterday. Was thinking maybe we'd see an extension from that, but not seeing that yet here today. SAI curling, making another attempt at 450 here on SAI. Oh, excuse me.
You know, for me, this is one of those days that I don't feel like I'm 100% for trading. So I take it way slower whenever I come to the desk and it not perfectly clear and in the game.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that because, Andy, we've been talking about that a lot. There have been here's a big knife on SAI, by the way, right down to VWAP here at SAI. VWAP now 425, 424 on SAI. We'll see if it ends up holding here and bouncing. Andy, that's one of the things that we've been talking about here recently, and I'm the same way. If I don't have it, if I don't have an edge, if I feel like I'm late, if every play I'm looking at, I'm coming too late and I'm not seeing the setup materialize, I dial it back. I just don't force it. There was a period of time earlier in my trading career where I was like, I need to trade. I need to place trades. I have bills to pay. I have things to do. I have people that I care about. I need to trade. And what ended up happening is that made me forego some of the rules that allowed me to protect my capital, which is a big no-no in this business. So for me, I got no problem dialing it back. This week is a perfect example. Mitch is not here. Normally, when Mitch is here, he does everything. He runs all the bells and whistles, starts the show, helps me and Zunaid get the right screens up, makes comments on things, spots other things, runs scanners, gives trading. I mean, like, the dude does everything. And now with him not here, I'm left to pick up the slack. Well, what I'm not going to do is put myself in a position where I'm just kind of trading haphazardly, not seeing my spots, not focusing on my plan. I'll just dial it back a little bit. One of the other things that you can do here is reduce size. If you don't feel well, if you're unsure about things, reduce your size. Make it so that it's not that big of a hit if you're wrong, and then still work on building those gains through proper risk management when you're correct.
Well, I've had just about every kind of day in my trading history, and the worst kind of day is when I come in with some swings that I close early on, like I just told you, profitable, and then I go in and trade anyways, knowing that I'm not feeling 100%. Next thing you know, I'm giving all that back and possibly even closing with a red day when it was a really nice green day. So today, I'm a little more wise, and I'm growing each day with my discipline. And I think as a trader, that's just the thing. I don't think we're ever there. I don't think we've ever totally made it, you know?
Totally agree. Lifelong learning, definitely a big part of that. I could not agree with you more. Could not agree with you more. Community, call to the community here. Do you guys see anything that we are missing here? The scanner seems a little dry in terms of new ideas. We do have, I mean, SAI still working out here. This is not over yet. At least the trading setup is not over yet. Just wondering if anyone else sees anything out there. Wellness Matters mentioning Google. Are we turning around there? Are we getting a tradable opportunity here in Google?
I got CACO.
Oh, man. Great bounce. What was that ticker, Andy? I'm sorry.
CACO, but it's nothing that that I would be looking at yet. I would watch for a break or something here, some more volume.
Yep, nice little volume pop here, taking us from just under 1 to 110. CACO, I feel like this one seems familiar. I feel like we might have traded this here before. CACO.
That's a chart though, man. When you zoomed out at a higher time frame, that's ugly.
Yeah, yeah, yes, it is. ETAO. We actually just saw that here on the relative volume scanner. This is actually another penny here. Nice grinder here from 85, or excuse me, 87 VWAP break right up through $1, as high as $1.01 here on ETAO. Actually a fairly decent chart. Looks like we are coming off the bottom here. I would say maybe if we break this 110, 105, 110 area, maybe we can trade back up towards a 140 handle on ETAO. What does this stock do? ETAO is a digital healthcare group providing medical care and biomedical technologies to patients in China. Interesting. Not sure I trust that one, but a decent move here.
Talking about riding that VWAP, we are still hovering right around that area on SAI.
Ryan, good morning, my man. Semper Fi, baby. Ryan, my man, you're going to have to explain the math with BA jumping 4% in the pre-market, but maintaining without a return to baseline. Would it have anything to do with the previous earnings? Can't say that it has anything to do with the previous earnings. I think that Boeing here today, the big move here on Boeing is because of the guide. They're telling you that they reaffirm profit guidance. Actually, it looks like we might set new highs here on Boeing today. Let's see if I can actually find the actual print in here. A lot of lines with some of the information going on here. Boeing shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q1 sales results, which is great, but they reaffirmed that guidance and the production for the 737 MAX, as well as the cash flow projection. I think that they were negative cash flow this quarter, but hope to be or reaffirm that they're going to be positive cash flow later this year. Still expects to deliver 400 to 450 737 MAX airplanes in 2023. Plans to increase production to 38 737 planes per month later this year. This, I think, is your catalyst for today's move higher. This one right here. Looking around here, yet again, didn't see anything really juicy off of the unusual options scanner. I know I'm just kind of watching flow here for the most part, but nothing eye-popping, nothing that has really kind of caused me to look deeper into an issue.
But have you seen Tesla, though, down 3%?
Yep, and Tesla trying to bounce here off that 155 level.
It's been testing that declining 65 over and over with the rejection here on the 15-second for Tesla.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. Say that again. It's been testing the what?
Oh, the 15-second with the declining 65, like I was saying yesterday, Ryan. When these things die, how stocks die 101, from the way that I see it, they will continuously go and just tap that line and fall off again. And a lot of times it gets really, that's when the volatility kicks up. The moment that we tap that declining 65, it starts to speed up a little bit.
Looking around here, Bitcoin actually holding. Bitcoin has that look like it might go higher here today. Lisa Lee shouting out Snow. It's another one of those tech names that it was really kind of a darling for a while, really beaten down. We were over 400 on that run up post-pandemic here, really kind of basing and trading sideways here in this 140 area. Good day today here. This on the backs of some of those tech earnings. When does Snow report next? Unconfirmed for the end of May. Okay, so it's probably a couple of weeks here, and then we're going to have a Snow report. Next, that's a new name on a scanner. Not really doing a whole lot here. Okay, market kind of drifting towards the lows here. Maybe we retest some of those lows. More talk about ENPH looking weak. Indeed. Let's see where we are. Did we actually move lower here? Have we started to bounce? Still down about 25%. Looks like it's holding that 163 area. Dason, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Any news on Datadog that's causing it to run? We took a look at Datadog earlier. Again, I think this is a sympathy play. They got earnings coming up here soon. Yeah, just over a week, 8 days, Thursday before the market opens on Datadog. The catalyst that we have here, courtesy of Benzinga Pro's news desk, shares of several cloud-related companies are trading higher in sympathy with Microsoft and Alphabet, which reported an increase in cloud revenue. So there you go, trading off the backs of some of those other tech names.
So Ryan, I brought up that snipping tool again to show you guys what I was talking about. But basically, when I'm looking at the 15-second here and I see this declining 65, and we're testing it as resistance the whole way down, it's just a great way to see that and recognize the trend.
I got to start doing this. So at some point, when I do the small account challenge, maybe I'll make a separate chart that does the 65 EMA on a 15-second chart. We'll see if Mumu allows for those charts. This is good stuff, though. The last time you showed us this, too, this really acts like a great guide here.
The thing that surprises me is it does it day after day.
Hey, we all love repeatable processes, don't we?
Speaking of, we just went straight to it on Tesla for rejection. But like I've said before, it speaks volumes, though, if it doesn't hold. And if it breaks through also, it's not just, didn't do what you thought it was going to do, rejecting there. If it breaks through and depending on how much force it has when it breaks through there, that says a totally different story to us.
Wolf, interesting move here. Ron, shouting out Google. Ron, good to see you this morning, man. Hopefully you're having a great morning here. Google, what a bounce. What a bounce here. 3-point bounce in half an hour right off the open there. It'd be interesting to see if Google can actually go higher and challenge this 110. I'll be honest, if the strength keeps up here and the market really doesn't start giving it up, Google might continue this grind higher. Crow saying SFR setting up for tomorrow, entertainment only. Man, Crow, you definitely know how to rock it here. So interesting. I do like this setup. I like when I see this, right? I like when I see big moves on volume the day before and then the stock kind of holding the consolidation level the next day. To me, what this tells me is that if we get any type of volume pop through 174, this stock's going to have a 2 magnet for sure. So in terms of scalping, I mean, you're looking at a 25-cent scalp there. Now, if you think you can actually hit this up to 250, we'll see if that ends up going here. Would love to see some of the volume. If we back out here a little bit, we can see I've had some pretty good volume the last 2 days, dried up a little bit here today, but stock's not giving it back up. Let's see if we get volume flow into this name later today. NVIDIA strong here as well. NVIDIA pretty much getting all of its gains back from yesterday. Had a really weak day yesterday. That is a past memory at this point now as NVIDIA moves higher. I still like NVIDIA as a good AI play. I do like NVIDIA higher long-term here. My big thing with loading up for a longer-term swing or maybe even an investment in NVIDIA is that I'm not sure what's going to happen over the summer. I still am not confident that tech is just out of a bear market and going to continue higher. I'm personally waiting for the market to take another move lower here, and it looked like yesterday that might be the start of that move.
Market's looking pretty precarious here.
Yeah, it is. It's really kind of traded sideways here, but it is drifting to the lower end of that range. The Nasdaq, which is the strongest of the three, it's holding higher here, but really unable to break out. And I think the longer that remains, the higher the chance that we roll over here. Dow at the lows, by the way. Dow at the lows.
I know we were talking about that 410 level, and then I'd seen people tweet this morning about the 410 level again. I was expecting that might actually be something we're watching again today, but the way we're looking right now, that might not be anywhere near the case.
Well, let's take a look at that intraday chart here. Yeah, it sure doesn't look like we have the strength to bounce to 410. Now, again, not any time that you're looking at these indexes, understand that there's definitely going to be some potential headline. Maybe we don't even want to call it risk in this case, but headlines can move these things. We'll see where we go. It sure looks like, to my eye here, this intraday chart, it sure looks like we want to roll over and crack through this 406. Now, if we get that, the question is going to be, where do we stop, right? Where do we actually gather some of that support? Do we continue to travel lower, or do we actually get some support here? Taking a look at some of these other names off the relative volume scanner. Let's take a look at some of the names that are down. See if we get a bounce here. APH, maybe we bounce and fill this gap back up towards 75. AbbVie, wow, giving this up. Now, remember, we talked, was it last week or maybe even the week before, we talked about some of these medical device companies looking really, really strong. AbbVie, I believe, has earnings here tomorrow. So confirmed before the market opens. So AbbVie going to report its earnings here, really backed off that high here of 166. Let's see if AbbVie can get it going. solar names, other solar names here trading in sympathy with EMPH to the downside. We got Run, SunPower, both trading lower here. Solar Edge. Check out the knife on Getter. It's entertaining. Oh, man. Crow, we got multiple knives here. The VWAP provided nothing. This might have well been air or paper. There was no support here. We rocketed through that VWAP to the downside, tried to bounce for what looks like 5 seconds, and then took the next leg down here on Getter. This is Get Around stock. We were as high as 80 cents down here at 57. This is one of the things that we're talking about when we talk about having stops, keeping yourself protected.
And there goes the SPY back to the 406 level.
SPY at the lows here now too. SPY and Dow at the lows. NASDAQ is rolling over, but not yet at the lows. Still higher than where we were at the open. Looking around. Be interested to see if AB's got anything that he's looking at here today. How's this Bed Bath & Beyond doing?
You know, looking at the daily on SAI also, Ryan, I see that that previous candle that spiked up to, I said 425 was the high. We got real body right now resting below that. So that to me is also a little precarious on SAI.
Okay, so you're looking at the daily candle here on SAI?
Yep.
And the body beneath this other green candle from the 20th or from the 19th?
Yep.
Yeah, SAI, the momentum seems to have left at least temporarily. If it holds this area here, volume could turn it back up.
Well, we have that nice volume contraction as well in the 5-minute. We're holding the VWAP, which is always nice to see.
Yep.
Definitely can't rule SA out yet.
And FRC here, FRC down 27% today after being down 50% yesterday. Oive. Low here of the pre-market, 555, currently at 590. I wouldn't even be shocked if we tested that 555 pre-market low. Crow mentioned EYPT. This is one that we traded recently here. Crow looking for 8 on EYPT. Let's take a look at that 15-minute, give you an idea of where we're at. So this also, here's one of the other things. When you see one of these stocks kind of pop out of nowhere and then a couple of days go by where it kind of does its price discovery, it kind of finds its price level. It's awesome that it didn't break all the way back down to where we broke out from, just kind of trading sideways here. These can actually be pretty decent plays if they start to get action again. Crow looking at 8 for the first level. I would say 10 too if it really gets nuts.
Well, I'm going to get nuts, Ryan, because since we're holding this VWAP, I'm just going to go ahead and take the trade on SAI.
Okay. There we go. Long SAI for Andy here, 409.
If you guys don't mind, please don't follow me. I'm going to get out of this play at the first hint of anything, so.
So basically, you're just looking for a rush up, some type of volume pop that makes the price go higher here in order to take the gains off the table and then set up again.
Right now, I'm holding for the strength if we get it, Ryan. But it's just if this thing, anything that it shows me, I could decide, hey, you know what, I don't want it no more, or I'm gonna at least cut half or anything.
ETO, good job, Bex. This is moving up here. See if we can get back to this 167.2 level. Cat is displeased with me since I'm working.
Here goes the SPY again down 405.54.
Yep. Break lower. NASDAQ now at the lows too. So all of these markets rolling over here. Let me bring up the SPY.
Kind of curious what IWM's doing, or IWC.
Still don't see anything really interesting with the unusual option scanner. SAI, nice move here, Andy. Look at this. We're curling back up to that VWAP. Let's see if we move through it. Yeah, Jay, CMG, I'll be honest. I don't know. This one confounds me. All right. This one confounds me. Absolutely love their burritos. Absolutely love their burritos. Just a great deal. Delicious product. Love the company. Difficult for me to predict the stock. Difficult for me to trade the stock. We look at this move here. We have a floating island here for sure. I'd love for this to come back in towards the bottom of this candle, hold, and then move higher here. That would actually give us a trade on CMG. These options quite expensive stock, difficult to trade. Love the company, but really struggle actually trading it. Medical Toolkit asking, what scanner do you use? Medical, I use the 2 scanners that are in Benzinga Pro in the Essential package. I start my gap scan with the movers tool, identifying different key levels on what stocks are trading up and down in the pre-market. And then I combine that with some of the different newsprints that are driving that stock. And then once the market actually opens, I flip over to my scanner tool, which is basically a relative volume scan. We're looking for intraday liquidity, curls up. So it doesn't matter if the stock is down, we're looking for it to move up. And then we're also looking for high relative volume. And this is intraday relative volume. So we're comparing it to the same 5-minute window of the past 10 days. Great question, though. Benzinga Pro. It's all you need.
So like I said, Ryan, I could close this thing really quick into whatever happens. And what I'm looking for in SAI right now is that we get some sort of consolidation, and we're going to get a lower high and then another lower high before we finally decide if we're going to break down or break up. So I decided to close, take that profit, and when we come back to lower end of that consolidation, I can get back in. Awesome
way to capitalize on the price action. AB, how you doing, my man?
Good. I was sorry about that, Ryan. I was just you were working on some other things real quick, but I saw you guys were talking about Chipotle.
BRB.
So I was just looking at Chipotle. So this stock is up more than 500% over the last 5 years. And here's what's interesting to me about that, Andy, is that if you would have told me in like 2007, or what was 5 years ago, 2017, 2018, like I would have been like, oh yeah, we're probably a little late on the Chipotle trade, right? Like we already knew how popular Chipotle was in 2017, 2018. It had already grown into this huge, massive restaurant chain. But still, it wouldn't have been too late to invest because you'd be up more than 500% over the last 5 years. I don't know about you, Andy, but I'll take 100% a year on that type of trade. So it got me thinking, like, I wonder what other type of obvious, quote unquote, obvious investments there are out there where it's like, okay, this company is massively popular. We know they're going to make money and do well.
I know I can tell you one that I thought I missed the bus on, or missed the boat, whatever they say, LLY. And that thing is continuing to just be a monster.
Yeah, LLY, Eli Lilly, of course, has the new weight loss drugs that are getting very popular and could be huge. Actually, down more than 3% today, looking at Eli Lilly right now. But yeah, around all-time highs. And there are a lot of examples, I'm sure, like looking back. I mean, even if you take example like an Apple in 2015, right? They've already put out the iPhone, MacBooks. Everyone knows, right, that Apple, like, so I don't know. I guess sometimes there are these opportunities in the market where it might seem obvious or it might seem too late. But if things are popular and if companies are strong, they're strong. Like, and Chipotle, has proven that, it's, even though it's not a Apple or a Microsoft that's using AI or changing the world through technology, they just do a good job at what they do, and that's make and sell burritos.
And the burritos are
add another winner to this list, though, is PAG, Penske. It's another monster. It's beautiful.
PAG?
What was the ticker on that one again? PAG.
PAG, Penske. Sorry about that.
Penske Automotive Group. Yeah, so Ryan, while you were gone, I was saying how with Chipotle, like, it's up. The stock is up more than 500% throughout the last 5 years, which has just been an incredible run. But if you would have told me in 2018 or whatever, I would have been like, oh yeah, we're probably a little late on the Chipotle trade, like, right? Like, in that, like, Chipotle grew a bunch from say 2010 to 2017, and at that point I probably would have been like, oh no, we've already missed the boat, we're already late, whatever. But really, you still could have invested in this company that everyone knew was super popular 5 years ago and still done really well. I'm seeing some.
Don't
Sorry,
forget the E. coli scare. Remember the E. coli scare a number of years ago? How long ago does that sound?
They had multiple food poisoning incidents. I want to say probably the most recent one was in like 2016 or something, right? Like the lettuce, people were getting E. coli from the lettuce or whatever in it. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's one of those things that, maybe in hindsight, the market might have been a little overreactive of, but it was probably scary at the time to be like, oh, I'm going to buy stock in this food chain that keeps giving people E. coli, right? That seems like a dumb investment, but it would have worked out, I guess.
Absolutely. That was your dip buy. Real quick. So Sydney, I said I was going to support your TDW, your Tidewater trade. Check it out. I know it's not quite the same thing. Tidewater. I'm part of the golf club. You're part of the stock. Let's roll.
There you go. So I was speaking of golf, Ryan. I heard you're coming in town in a couple weekends and trying to get some golf in.
Yes, sir, AB. I'm sorry that you're not going to be able to join us, I'm afraid.
I know. I'm going to be celebrating actually my birthday that weekend.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you. Another year.
BBAI pushing to the highs here. Jay saying, CMG, you have to find these names early before they expand. Bros does the potential mostly on the West Coast. Jay, oh man, you are making me happy here today. I will give you one of the stocks that I am in and I have been in. Now, really quickly, before we talk about this, I'm a big proponent of saying this. This is a long-term trade for me. I am not going to be shaken out of the daily occurrences in this. However, my price, the stock that I'm going to talk about here is Portillo's. Any of you that have had Portillo's know exactly how good this is. Portillo's, for me, they are going through a 600 store expansion. Well, one of the things that they do in order to place their next locations is based on their mail order business, which is also really robust. So what they do is they end up opening new locations in markets where they know their product is going to sell well. That plan, as long as that gets executed, to me is a huge winner. Another little stat for you here on Portillo's. In their history, they have never closed a store. Not one store that has opened has ever been closed for Portillo's. It's a Chicago thing. I'm huge on Portillo's. This is the one that I want to get before that expansion. Now, we're currently looking at a $20.58 price. My average, just so you know, is $17.76. So I'm talking about a stock that I own lower here. But this, for me, is a long-term trade. When I say long-term trade, I have no gripes about holding this for 10 years, if that's what it takes for this to expand.
There's one in the Detroit area. Did you know that?
There's one in Detroit?
In the Detroit area. It's in Sterling Heights, about 15 minutes north of us.
I do not think that I realized that, but man, we should.
I saw it the other day, and I was like shocked. I was so surprised. I'm actually looking at the map right now. I didn't realize Portillo's has a few locations in Florida, one in Dallas, some in Phoenix, some out in LA. So I guess they probably target these areas, like you said, that have the mail orders. Probably some Chicago transplants out there in Phoenix and Dallas, etc. I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting. I don't know if Portillo's has the same sort of growth potential that a Bros or a Chipotle has. I could be way wrong on that. But we shall see. I wonder from a outside, if you're not from Chicago, like how popular they end up being with people that aren't from Chicago in these areas.
Well, I can actually give you some boots on the ground research. First of all, you're absolutely right. Those Chicago transplants, they love their Italian beef. They want to be able to get it. I've had Italian beef from multiple places. None of them really live up to Portillo's. But here's what I will say. We've been talking about Portillo's in the happy hour for some time now. There's actually a New Yorker that has relocated to Arizona. She said she finally tried Portillo's for the first time, and she said, wow, I am a believer. Now, they don't just stop with Italian beef. Obviously, it's burgers and dogs as well, salads. We have a Dazzy here mentioning the chicken fingers. The catering service is excellent. That's a big business for them. Ticker is PTLO, Papa Tango Lima Oscar. That is Portillo's there. So like I said, maybe it doesn't. Comparing it to Chipotle might be very, very difficult, right? Chipotle, massive expansion. We just covered all of it, how great it is.
I mean, that's an unfair comparison to anyone. But my point is basically, Ryan, that if I'm investing in Portillo's here, I'm basically long, Chicago people. And like, it's like, I that's what I would want to see as a potential investor in Portillo's is like, okay, they open a new store in Sterling Heights. What percentage of their foot traffic is from, either people that are from Chicago or people with family in Chicago versus just a random person driving down the street that lives and is from Michigan? If they can start getting that like consumer base at the places where they're at organically, then it does become very interesting, I think, because, it's like we see with Chipotle that this type of fast casual food business can be quite profitable. I mean, I don't know really how it works with the margins and everything, but Chipotle shows that, you can make some good money by selling a meal for 10, 12, 13 bucks. And it probably only costs you like $5 or so to produce. So either way, this will be something, Ryan, that we'll have to keep our eyes on because I like the hey, I mean, at the end of the day, it's fun to talk about these stocks of the companies and restaurants that we know that we can go down the street and walk in the store. It's a lot more to me, it's a lot more fun to talk about those types of companies than ones that I'll never see actually like to my face,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm with you there 100%. I'll just kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for $100 out of Portillo's. We're currently at 20. I'm looking for 100. I understand that type of move would take an economy or an economic backdrop suitable for that. The expansion would have to be executed. A lot of ifs in there, but that's what I'm looking for. I understand in your case, Aaron, it's probably tough for you to go long something supporting Chicago, especially right now with the Cubs having a better record. So I get it. But at the same time, the food's really delicious. And one of the things you can watch for is the stores that are opening in new areas. Is their sales revenue growing? Is that particular store's revenue getting higher and higher, or is it contracting? I think if it was just the Chicago transplants, that number would stay the same or contract. If it grows, I think that they would be successful in spreading. By the way, real quick here, FRC halted to the downside at 492. Good Lord, things keep getting worse here. Down 50% yesterday, down 39% here again today. Doesn't seem to be any bottom in sight. Ticker FRC.
And I didn't add any more here for SAI, but SAI still riding that 20 and that VWAP here on the 5-minute. Looks really nice.
Alexa's asking, how many stores did CMG have when the stock was worth 100? I'm not sure. Alexa's asking, Alexa, what was the question you asked yesterday? I said I was going to look into because I don't think I got a chance to, but I forgot to write it down, but it's on my radar. If you remember what that was, let me know. Let's see. Mekki said he's riding it to 0, the First Republic Bank. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the news that basically what they say that there's going to be no bailout for FRC, that it's basically screwed.
Yeah, that's not good, right? I mean, sounds bad.
Yeah, I mean, anytime. Yeah.
No one is expected to buy First Republic without substantial government guarantees. That was a Politico headline. That's bad. We got a circuit breaker after that. And the craziest part of this whole thing, causing another spike in Bitcoin. By the way, we took a look at the market. It was pounding lows the last time that we updated you on it. What happened here? I just readjusted my window. Let's go ahead and type in SPY. Take a look at the broader market here. We are trying to bounce. Let's see if we end up getting back to VWAP.
What I like to see on the SPY, Ryan, is that we were popping a lower shadow here on 4-hour. And then basically, just like I said about getting rejected under real body, we are pulling back above real body on the previous candles, or at least we're at that level right now.
Let's see if we can keep bouncing here in SPY. That might change things. That might change the outlook for some of these stocks as well.
Yeah, like Tesla.
And CMG. I'm just looking at the intraday pattern here on CMG. I wouldn't even be surprised if we retested this to the highs here today. Now $20 CMG. Still haven't seen really anything popping here on the calls. So just over 500,000, just under 700K at Tesla puts. Those expire May 5th, 150 puts. So that trader is looking for another move down to 150. ASTS. This is the remember we talked about this one yesterday. They had a PR about making that cellular call from, or making a call from space using a traditional unmodified cellular device. We gave everything back. We kind of came back into where we were. Now today we are pushing up here. I don't know if we're going to get a momentum push that's tradable like we saw yesterday, but would love to see this move back through 506 and a potential grind towards the 6 handle.
See some folks in the chat talking about Tesla. Let's see how Tesla's doing right now. Looks like caught a bounce down there at around 153 or so. So coming back a little bit here, but I mean, I'd be scared getting into Tesla right here, because I think Tesla is still one of the few stocks out there where the valuation is just still very, very high. That almost that to me, that valuation almost only makes sense in like a lower interest rate environment. I think, you know, Tesla is just such a popular brand and such a popular stock that people are willing to pay for the premium for the name, right? Like they want to own Tesla shares, whatever. But at a certain point, I kind of expect this valuation to continue to come down. I mean, it wasn't too long ago, just a couple months ago, Tesla was trading at around $100. So it's still up almost 50% from those lows a few months ago. So we'll see. But I'd be skeptical getting into Tesla on the long side here.
Yeah. Now, Aaron, the one thing I will say here, again, I've said a number of times, I have not traded Tesla well. I have thought Tesla is overvalued for years. This is actually going back through the most recent split. So I've been dead wrong when it comes to Tesla long term. The big thing that I hear from the Tesla bulls is that it's not a car company, rather it's a technology company. And I think then that valuation kind of goes out the window. Now, to your point, I think we're entering a phase of the market where valuation is going to be important. And if that comes home to roost, I completely agree with you. I feel like Tesla just overvalued and likely to come in. Now, it hasn't done that. So it's kind of you know, I've been wrong for years on this. So sticking with a wrong position, that's not anything to brag about. But we'll see if we end up getting that move back in here on Tesla. It's been very difficult to trade. I know people that use this effectively as an ATM, right? They're basically just day trading Tesla all day long. They end up making really good profit from it. I envy those people, no question.
And Silver Fox is saying that they only trade the price action, which, yeah, if you're like day trading, whatever, yep. I'm talking about more of an investment. Like if I was going to invest $1,000 in Tesla right now and just let it sit and not touch it, I'd be a little bit scared. But I think, Ryan, like the valuation thing, I think with over the last 10 years or so, when our interest rates were lower, I think it's a lot more like forgiving in terms of, yeah, like a stock can trade, you know, not based on its valuation at all and all on speculation. But as interest rates go up, like you said, that the valuation becomes more important. We expect it to kind of fall back to that valuation. And I hear you in the Tesla bulls on that Tesla's not really a car company. It's a tech company or whatever. But when I look at the company, I'm looking at the financials. If 99.9% of the company's revenue comes from one thing, and that's car sales, to me, that's a car company, right? Like if all of your revenue is coming from selling cars, I'm gonna judge you based on like how well you're selling cars. And right now, I honestly think it's like the first time in the last 10 years that there is ample competition out there. People are seeing, you know, other brands put out luxury electric vehicles that compete with Tesla. And, you know, I think for a while, the valuation, where the stock was trading at for Tesla was kind of based on this assumption that Tesla was just going to dominate the market share of electric vehicles. And it still is in the United States. But I think that's starting to slip more and more. And from a completely anecdotal standpoint, I've seen a lot of people. I mean, Jay Rez, our CEO and founder here, had a Tesla for like 5 years, just switched to a Mercedes electric one, says he likes it more. I've been seeing more and more people like that were like former Tesla owners that have switched, or they're people that have been like complaining about different quality assurance things about Teslas on Twitter, etc. Like, you know, they just bought a new Tesla and the door's not working properly, or like small things like that, to where I think a lot of people are so stoked about the car and how cool it is, and they are super cool, fun to drive, super fast, but they're willing to, a lot of owners I think are willing to overlook some of these like small problems with the cars that you probably wouldn't see from other car manufacturers.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And I've seen some of that stuff, some of the quality assurance stuff where door panels don't line up. That kind of stuff scares me. That seems like a quality
Right,
issue
and if
in the
you just
factory.
bought, and think about Ryan, like put yourself in the shoes of if you just bought a brand new Tesla, spent however many tens of thousands of dollars, probably had to wait a while to get it because like during COVID, there's wait lists, the supply chain, people weren't getting their cars right away. You finally get your car delivered, and you're like looking at it, and you realize there are like some of these things that are just like kind of messed up, and it's like I'd be ticked off if you're
Me
paying
too.
that much for a car. You expect every little thing on there to be perfect.
When I buy a new car, I expect it to be perfect. When I buy a used car, I'm willing to accept some deficiencies in the quality or perhaps the wear, but not if it's a new car. Real quick, want to address this. Jay Rice, great comment here. I'm sorry I didn't catch it right when you said it, but we'll get to it right now. CCJ, we're seeing CCJ have a really good move here. This is the intraday 1 minute chart at the highs, 26.76. If we back out, oops, changed it again. Oh my goodness, come on. Let me go back here to CCJ, click on the daily chart here. We take a look at the daily chart here. We're still in kind of a sideways move here, but Jay brings up a really good point. Canadian officials changed their stance on nuclear the last couple of days, embracing it to stay carbon neutral. First of all, that's duh. You should be doing that. But here, Jay, my follow-up question would be, do you think that there's more headway for this? Do you think that we could get more comments out of governments about embracing nuclear so that they can keep the carbon footprint down? And if so, does that mean more highs here for CCJ? I mean, looking at the stock, I'd love to see this break above 29.5, maybe take out 30 and move towards highs. With you on this one, I got to think that this is the right move long term. Just wondering if you see anything like that on the horizon here for CCJ. This is a really good shout here, and I think that as we get more of this, CCJ probably goes higher.
So Ryan, as you guys were talking about Tesla, I went long and bought some Tesla.
Oh, here we go. What do you got for me, Andy? Let me pop up the intraday chart and let's outline that trade.
Let me see what I got, Ryan. I got it on my phone, so hold on.
Looking around here, Tesla's still continuing this bounce off the lows. We'll see if we can actually clear out 155 and move higher here.
And you guys, I just want to let you know that when you turn 40, okay, things change. I now have to take my glasses off, Ryan, in order to read. It's the craziest thing in the world. I don't know what's going on.
Did FRC have news? Yeah, it was bad. Earnings were bad. Don't think they're going to be able to sell it. We got people riding it to zero. All seems like bad news out there.
Okay, so 154.73 is what I got, Ryan.
Okay, 154.73. So you're just slightly under that here, but we're in this consolidation move up off the lows. Trade back to VWAP, puts you at 166.80. You got a price target for Tesla that you're looking for?
No, I just bought it, Ryan.
Okay. Jay Rice saying nuclear is by far the cleanest. The problem is the lag time. Takes years to build a plant. I like them longer term. Okay, so CCJ more of a longer term like for you. Voodoo laughing at your 40 years of age. You're still a young pup. Voodoo, I absolutely love it, man. Nellie's treasure trove saying 40s is young.
I'm not saying it's old or young. I'm just saying that once you hit it, things start happening.
Start to change. Yeah, that happened. I remember when I hit 30, man, I couldn't eat like I did in college. You have dairy at night, it leads for a bad evening and a bad morning the next day. And it's just part of getting older. Got to be more responsible. Eyesight, that's one thing. I've actually had better than perfect vision for a large part of my life. I understand that biology is a truth, and at some point my eyes are going to deteriorate. Got to be honest with you, Andy. Not looking forward to that at all. Not at all. Rely on your Tesla entry here. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but your Tesla entry here pretty good as we move higher here, Andy. Think you spotted something?
Yeah, as far as you were asking about the target, my first target would be to cut half off at 156.58 right now.
Okay,
it's a declining level.
Gotcha. SAI curling back up here. Let's see if it goes through 450. If it moves through 450, fives might be on deck on SAI. Ron with the mic drop here this morning. Hey guys, try being 79. Ron, I'm going to say this though. If I'm as sharp and as active as you are at 79, I'm going to chalk that up as a big fat W, because I see you trading every day. I see you joining different programs every day. You're constantly learning. You got that thirst for life. We've talked about some of the things that you've done in the past. Just an outstanding human being. If I'm where you are at 79, big dubs, big dubs. Absolutely love our chat, guys. Andy, thanks again for joining us here today. I know we kind of slowed down a little bit here. I just really want to thank you. You've been such a great supporter of Benzinga. Your daughter runs our social department. She's absolutely fantastic. Really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out here, and thanks for all the different trading ideas here. You're bringing us winners on a daily basis.
I appreciate you invite me on, Ryan.
You got it. Yes. Smash up the like for Andy here. This is how you can show our support. It doesn't cost you a dime. Help us do more of these things. Notice that when Mitch left, we were like, we got an audience to cater to. We are not going to stop a show or play replays or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and give you that content. We will keep reaching out and bringing on guests here. So be sure to go ahead and smash up that like. Good to see you this morning, Alyssa.
Yeah. Typically right now though, Ryan, I would probably just pack it up, head to the beach and get away from the charts. That way I don't put myself into something that I shouldn't be in. Because you ever notice that if you sit here too long, you'll start overthinking it, you know?
Absolutely. I've got 2 tips for that. Number 1, walks. You can go ahead and walk a mile midday. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed at what such a simple thing can do to better your day and kind of clear your head. You got music or a podcast you like, throw those earbuds in there and get out there on the heel toe express. The other thing that I'll say is that I have another job to do during the day, and I'm very focused on it. There never seems to be an end to the amount of work that we have to do here, and I actually use that. I use that to kind of, if I make a bad trade in the morning, I say, well, you know what? You have an opportunity to make somebody else's day here at your regular job. Get it out of your mind, get back on track, focus on what you need to do, and keep moving it forward. And I've adopted that policy for a number of years now, and it's really served me well. The one thing that I wanted to ask about, you just talked about going to the beach. I got to say, you post some of the most gorgeous looking nature pictures. Are you just like around a bunch of lakes and trails where you're able to grab up this amazing looking content?
Okay, Ryan, so when I first moved here, everybody said, this area is amazing, but there's not much for a nightlife. There's not much for partying or anything like that. I'm like, okay, perfect. Yeah, all I needed was trails, and that we have an abundance of trails, and we have beaches, endless beaches where you see maybe 1 to 3 fishermen the whole way. If you want to go see people, I know where to go. But if you want to just have peace and quiet and be on the beach and never see another soul, we have tons of that too. So it's amazing.
Man, that sounds great. You are preaching my language, preaching to the choir. By the way, we were talking, we've been talking a lot about Tesla. We've been talking about EVs. Aaron told you a story about JRAS switching from Tesla to Mercedes. Lucid, ticker LCID here. Big pop, nice move through VWAP with expanding volume here. Let me see if I can find any news here. Don't really see anything. I'll say this about Lucid. Of all of the electric cars that have come out so far, this is the one that I have my eye on. I would absolutely love to have a Lucid Air. I think they're gorgeous looking. I think they're sleek, low to the ground. I know they're fast, great technology. I know the stock's been really kind of crappy, but of all of the electric cars so far, this would be my choice if I was able to get one.
Yeah, Michigan was absolutely gorgeous like this too, Ryan. I just didn't share as many pictures at that time, but being able to walk down a trail that's only, literally a mile away from the road, and you're walking next to the mangroves, and then you have dolphins come through and you can hear them breathe and you can watch them come up for air and go back down. And it's like, it's just amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Just absolutely amazing. That's so great. Andy, we're getting a couple of questions on where you live. Can I spoil that? Can I mention it?
Yeah, sure.
Just the state. I'm just going to go with the state. Andy is currently located in Florida. So when he's talking about all these beaches and all this really awesome stuff, that's where he's getting it from.
We're in a location, guys, where we get to watch SpaceX launches from our backyard. It blows
my goodness. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Looking around here, let me check out the Twitter streets and see if I see anything out there. See a lot of people talking about FRC. FRC open now, 550. Looks like it's moving lower here. Did try to bounce.
Yeah, when we first moved here, Ryan, we came home at night from the grocery store and looked up, and it looked like there was a meteor. And then that was when somebody, I think Alyssa said, that's a SpaceX launch. It's like, wow, that's incredible.
Wow, that is really awesome. That is really awesome. All right, let's take a look at several of the stocks on the scanner here. Snow still holding higher. Lunar popping. Did we get news on Lunar? Crow, this was one you were trading multiple times, right? Lunar? Feel like you were on this one a number of times. Let's see if we got. Yeah, didn't really get any news. Just kind of got a volume pop in here. Canaccord yesterday. Oh no, this was last week. Excuse me, last Wednesday. Canaccord maintains the buy but lowered the price target. Interesting. Still under that price target, by the way.
APLT also popped a little bit. Applied
Therapeutics. What was the ticker? APLT?
Yeah, APLT.
Applied Therapeutics. Yep, popping a knife back to the VWAP here. Pretty decent volume. APLT.
My Tesla trade's just hanging out basically right where it started.
Okay, so we're getting some news here that Steve Scalise, the majority leader of the United States House of Representatives, said the House will pass the debt ceiling bill coming this week. Maybe that's kind of factoring into this pop here. I know debt ceiling worries are hanging over this market right now. Let's see anything else going on in terms of big news. Did get some prints here this morning, but not outsized moves on the market for that. Let me flip back to the scanner. SAI still holding this. I tell you what, SAI has really been resilient. We did kind of regress back down through the VWAP to that 407 level. Excellent entry there yet again, Andy. But really kind of holding up here. I got to think, I know we're getting ready to wrap up here. Got about 8 minutes left here before we turn it over to AB again for the rest of the, or for the next session here. But looking at SAI, keep this one on your watch list for today. This one might not be done. This also might kind of trade sideways, get a volume pop a little bit later in the day, and then move up. So SAI, definitely something that I want to keep watching throughout the course of the day here. Looks like the SPY kind of curling back up. Maybe we're getting our bounce now. BZB, you're trading the futures, aren't you? SPY breaking out of that consolidation range here, moving back towards the VWAP. Let's see what we can do when we actually get to that VWAP. Maybe we can trade above it. CMG even appearing on the relative volume scanner. Now look at the volume here in Chipotle. Looks like some people took some profit up at these levels, which makes a lot of sense. But wow, monster move. Jay, you called it earlier. What a beast. 14% move here on Chipotle.
Yeah, so it looks like headed right towards my target here in Tesla.
Pull that back up here. Great job being patient on Tesla. There were a number of spots where it looked like it was trying to bounce on the way down here, and it didn't really. You got that bounce confirmation, took a nice long there, moving higher here on Tesla. Great entry there, Andy.
That confirmation is where it's at, and just being patient for the retest or reclaim. I mean, I can't say it enough. When you break a level and then you come back inside and you reclaim that those are the times when it really gets fun for me. There's just, certain higher probability setups, and anything where you have a nice retest or reclaim of a certain level, it just seems to work out a lot better. So Ryan, I got to ask you, do you have an Alexa?
I don't. I don't have any of those listening devices, the smart home devices in here.
Okay, so my rule is that we could have one, but I had to buy a timer for it. So it's got buttons. You can push 15 minutes or 30 minutes, however long you want it on, but you can't leave it on all day. I don't want the thing listening to me, like you said,
Yeah.
But every single morning now, I think Alyssa's on the 80s playlist, but every day she turns this thing on with a different playlist.
That's 80s playlist. Girl got class. Let's go. I like plenty of 80s music. And I'll shout out to you, Andy, putting the Alexa on a timer. I had never thought about that. What a brilliant suggestion.
I mean, it's a nice little fun toy to have, but dude, when I saw Dan Ishman post that his was listening to things that he couldn't believe what it was listening to, I was like, you know what? I'm not having this thing on all the time. No way.
Yeah, I'm old school when it comes to privacy like that. I generally don't invite machines that listen to me 24/7 into my home. It's just me, though. I understand the technology is cool. SAI, by the way, might be able to break out a 440 here in SAI.
See, the phones, I had thought that we could throw them in the microwave, and just test that theory to see if it would receive a call or be able to hear you and everything, deliver a signal, and microwave don't work. But
yeah, the magnetron would have to be on, I believe, for that to work, and then the phone is probably rendered useless.
I think I saw it in a movie, and I was like, let's try this out.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right about the phone. You're right about the phone.
Being an ME student, Ryan, mechanical engineering, I probably should have known that about the microwave before I did it, but
I'm a science nerd. Just don't mind me. PNC Bank, PNC Financial Bank. This is one of the larger banks here, trading up here. This is actually good news for the banking sector, I would imagine. Portillo's at the highs, by the way, since we talked about it. I'll take that.
Yeah, I got AMC today, Roku, and then basically now closed up some of that Tesla. So it's a nice day for me. But
nice
no energy at all, right? Like zero energy today. It's nice to be able to close with profit on a day when you don't feel 100%.
Well, I'll tell you what, for not feeling 100%, you're still doing a good job. And AB's, but you lured AB back, so you must be doing something right.
Yeah, I'm like a bug drawn to the light that is Andy Cole. All right, well, in a couple minutes we are going to wrap up, and we're doing a cool, no Benzinga live today, but a special cool alternative investment virtual event. So we're going to be hearing from a couple different alternative investment companies. Really interesting way right now to kind of diversify your portfolio with some of these different alternative investments. We're at a point now where in 2023, it's cool as retail investors, we have opportunities to invest in these other alternative investments like real estate, et cetera, that weren't available even just as recent ago as like 5-10 years ago. So really excited to talk to some of these companies. Hope that everyone out there sticks around in 3 minutes when we transition from live trading to the Alt Invest event.
You guys, thanks so much for having me today. I really appreciate you bringing me on.
No problem, Andy. Anytime.
Our pleasure. It's always great to have you on, man. The audience, I don't know who likes having you on here more, Ryan or I, or the audience.
Well, I really enjoy you guys, and I can tell you, your guys' analysis and the fact that you pick winners that are such strong, like long-running winners. I've never heard as many amazing, basically just amazing analysis as I've heard with you guys.
You know, the one thing that I will say about that, Andy, first of all, we appreciate it. Two things. Number one, when it's Mitch, Zunaid, and I, we have 3 different styles. So I think that looking at the market from 3 different lenses really aids in that. But I would be remiss if I did not mention our community. Every single day, we have people in this room, even before we start our show, starting to discuss what they see, what they're looking for, different things that they like. We had all types of participation today from a ton of different members, and that is the norm. We get that every single day here. So our community really helped lifting the water level for everybody here. We wouldn't be able to do it without them, and it's why we do it, right? We always want to focus on process. We don't know what the next stock to go from $1 to $100 is, but we are going to try and work on processes that allow us to identify and trade these names.
I'm definitely going to add that. What is that? PLTO earlier, Ryan?
Yeah, PLTO, Portillo's. PTLO, excuse me. PTLO.
Portillo's, if you like Italian beef and Chicago dogs, that's the stock for you.
No question. I did the thing where I type in the wrong Tesla ticker. I can't tell you how many times I've brought up Tinzania Life Science when I've just mistyped Tesla ticker. Your Tesla trade here looking real good. Silver Fox, he's fist pumping. He's making money here today. Awesome.
Yeah, it's an interesting environment right now. I almost feel like it's the opposite of the trend is your friend, right? Like it's like if Tesla's going down, 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 buy it. If it's going up, 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 sell it. And it's like a really interesting environment that it almost feels like fade whatever the move is happening. But all right, folks, it is 11 a.m. Thank you again to Ryan Faloona. Thank you to Andy Cole. And yeah, guys, smash the like for this wonderful duo that we had taking you through the live trading today.
Thanks very much. And real quick, before I jet here, Sabrina, I like PanW. This is the best in class for cybersecurity. This is one of those stocks where every time it goes down, it seems like it's a good idea to add it. Definitely like it long term, but full disclosure, no position in my long-term portfolio in PanW at the moment. I would like to be able to add this. I do like the stock, but currently no position. We can take a look at this some more when we have some more time. Andy, Aaron, thank you both very much. Community, thanks as always. We'll be back at this again tomorrow.
Beautiful. All right, thank you guys. Go ahead, Andy. Sorry. Oh, peace. Peace and love, y'all. Make sure to stick around for the Alt Invest event. We will be starting up right here, right now. You do not need to go anywhere. The stream will automatically redirect you. So see you guys over there in just a few seconds.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.